Week 2 video. In the first part of Unit 1, we will be looking at the earliest migrations into Oceania going back at least 40,000 years ago. The key concepts we will be focusing on are origins, connections, Lapita, and human impact. Going back in time, the distinctions between Micronesia, Melanesia, and Polynesia become blurred, as the ancestors of today's Pacific Islanders crisscrossed the vast ocean in search of land. We will never know for sure why people ventured out of Southeast Asia and ultimately Africa. 40,000 years ago, we find evidence of human occupation in New Guinea and adjacent islands, including the Bismarck Archipelago. We assume that population numbers were relatively low, and as a result, we can say that they lived sustainably. More recently, some 3,000 years ago, other groups of people followed. Like the migrants who preceded them, their immediate origin was in Southeast Asia. Archaeologists refer to them as the Lapita people. As a cultural phenomenon, Lapita displays complex patterns of interaction with the first wave of migration. You can learn more about Lapita by reading Bedford 2015. What is the evidence presented by the author in support of cultural interaction between the Lapita people and those who came before them? As far as we know, the Lapita people were the first to have crossed from near into remote Oceania, that is, the islands east of the Solomon Islands. A key to the success of the Lapita expansion all the way to Samoa and the ability to survive on small islands with relatively limited natural resources was the establishment of connections with distant communities, particularly in times of local food scarcity, and to find marriage partners and thus cement alliances between various communities. We can assume that long-distance voyaging and further expansion centuries later was made possible by increasing navigational knowledge, that is, wayfinding, which we will look at in more detail in Week 3. The Lapita people also appear to have lived sustainably despite some notable instances of landscape transformation and species reduction and local extinctions. The growing human populations that followed Lapita in time impacted their environment even further. The reading by Harris and Weisler, 2017, provides an example of the often complex human-environment interactions before European contact.